welcome to Live at the Waterhole on this wonderful Sunday morning here in South Africa. And depending on where you're tuning in the world, it will obviously be a different time. So we're starting today off at Tau Waterhole, Madikwe Game Reserve in the northwest province of South Africa. We've got a few impala rams and a lone wildebeest bull over there to the left. And we're hoping to have a wonderful day of sightings today, but I believe that many of the waterholes are a bit silent today, a bit quiet. So we'll do our best to get some interesting sightings. So my name is Johan Herbst, and I'm the owner of this voice, and I'll be your presenter for today. So just a quick reminder that this is a live and interactive experience, so we love to hear from you. So send your comments or questions through on our app or website or any of the platforms listed below. So today I want to talk about one of the most fascinating yet least understood themes in the natural world. So intelligence in animals specifically. So from the problem-solving skills of crows to the memory of elephants, and from the cooperative strategies of predators to the ability of animals to mourn their dead, intelligence is not just a human trait. But it's a survival skill woven into the fabric of life. So, yeah, let's talk about what you know about the intelligence of animals, what is understood, what isn't understood. Let me know in the comments. I see it's busy raining there at the moment at Madikwe, and it's lovely sunny weather down here in Somerset West, where I'm staying at the moment. So yesterday we went to visit a beach which is not far from Stony Point, which is very close. Yeah, it's very close to Stony Point, one of our locations where we have one of our cameras. And it was an absolutely stunning day yesterday. We got to swim a bit in the sea, and it was just absolutely lovely. Just a perfect day after a very hectic 3 months to start the year off. And just an absolutely fabulous place to go and visit if you haven't already. The beach specifically is called Dapat Sakhat. So, which basically translates to Dapat. Dapat is a person's name, and then he's hole. So there's a big cave there, which it's quite a large cave which you can go into when it's low tide, but when it's high tide, it's obviously underwater. So very, very fascinating place to visit if you ever have the opportunity. And then, of course, Stony Point is also a very wonderful place to visit because it has one of the few breeding African penguin colonies in South Africa, or at least on the coastline of South Africa, because many of the the colonies are located on islands just off the coast of Africa, of South Africa specifically. So I've got a comment here from Ellie PR saying, "Hello Johan, nice to hear from you, or nice to hear you, and thanks for hosting today." So it's an absolute pleasure to be here on the show today, and it's lovely to hear from you, Ellie. We hope that we have a very exciting show, but if not, then we can have a nice discussion about animal intelligence. So please let me know what you think of animal intelligence, whether it's mostly instinctual or whether it's design. Yeah, it would be interesting to find out what your opinions are. So Jive Bunny says, "Great to have you back, Johan." It's great to be back, Jive Bunny. It's always lovely hosting these shows. So Jive Bunny says, "Animals seem to be aware of weather conditions well before humans." So that's definitely the case with a lot of animals. Some examples that I can think of is, I know during the 2004, I think it was, or 2005, tsunamis that decimated much of the buildings and actually killed many people during those tsunamis in 2004 in Indonesia and Thailand. And many of the elephants looked for higher ground. They before the tsunamis actually happened, I believe it's a day or so before, like 24 hours before the tsunamis actually happened, they moved up to the mountainous areas or just higher ground. And so they must have been able to sense the rumblings of the tsunami before it actually hit. And there's also another interesting study that they did, I think, in North America of these birds. I think it's a swallow or some other bird, but so they migrate these great distances over the Gulf of Mexico, and of course during certain times of the year they have many hurricanes, many cyclones, tropical cyclones, which go through the Gulf. And so they've noticed that these birds, they delay their migration when they during times where there's many hurricanes. So before the hurricanes actually happen, or before the tropical cyclones happen, they actually they wait, they delay their migration a bit longer. So that's fascinating that they know before we do that there's going to be very severe tropical cyclones, and many of them before we do. So it's yeah, super interesting. And can you guys tell me of some examples of animal intelligence that you know or that you're aware of? So Jive Bunny says, "I'm in another Somerset, but in the UK." So yeah, I think I'd prefer to be at the Somerset West in the Western Cape. It's much sunnier here most of the year, so I don't envy you, Jive Bunny, but super stoked that you're here with us on the show today. So LEPR says, "I definitely agree. Animals can feel the smallest changes of air pressure long before humans can." So definitely there's something in the makeup of the animals, something in their anatomy or physiology that is able to detect air pressure a lot better than humans can, and therefore they're able to plan better. So they know when it's going to rain, they know when there's a big storm approaching, so they're able to get to places where they might be a bit more safe, a bit more secure from the rain or the unfavorable weather conditions. So it's super interesting, and something I feel that humans know very, very little of. It's also very difficult to research these types of things. And also there's not that much funding that goes into these sorts of research projects. Okay, let's see what's happening at Simbavati. Okay, we've got some impala here at the waterside, the Simbavati waterside, and some zebra as well, just showing their faces on the right hand side. You can see it's a mixture of young males and some females in this harem over here to the left of impala. And zebra also have a harem, which is a social structure where it's a dominant male that will then lead a group of females and the young. So these harems, the males, the dominant males of the harems, they're very protective of their herds, their breeding herds, and they're also very protective of their territories. So preferably they want to get a territory closest to the waterside, get prime real estate close to the waterhole or close to a river or anywhere where there's lots of resources, access to water, plenty of food, and then of course access to females. So Lucy Leversley says, or Leversley, sorry, says, hello everyone, how lovely to have a host tonight. So it is very lovely to be here once again. I'm very excited to be hosting again. It's been about a month, and I've been incredibly busy, but yeah, it's just nice to do something which you really enjoy, as I thoroughly enjoy teaching people about wildlife and about narrating wildlife. I think it's just fascinating, and I think there's so much that we don't know about animals and their behavior, and we're only sort of touching or scraping the surface of animal behavior and intelligence. So yeah, there's plenty to know, and oftentimes the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So it's it actually makes you feel a bit sort of lacking sometimes. The more you research, then you just realize I actually know so little. But it just inspires me to read more and to Google more, and yeah, it's just it's such a great thing when you're passionate about something. Just like I'm passionate about wildlife. So these impalas here are also very intelligent creatures, very intelligent animals. So they're very good at warning one another of danger, of predators lurking around in the bush. They give this snort, a very characteristic snort of the bushveld that warns other impala or other animals about a potential threat in a predator or some other danger. And they're also very good at escaping danger. Once a predator starts chasing them, they're able to zigzag and jump very quickly, and so, oh, there we go. There we've got our male, our dominant male, which is okay. There's two, there's three. Okay, so maybe they're tolerating. Oh, there they come. It looks like a bachelor herd of impala. So sometimes you have males which string together. They join forces, and they tolerate one another during the non-rutting seasons. So normally in South Africa, the rutting season is in winter. So that's when the males are frantically running around searching for a group of females and trying to defend their territories to make sure that they have a prime real estate for when they're trying to attract females. And so they're also so busy chasing each other around. The males are so busy chasing each other around and chasing females into their territories that during this time they actually have so little time to groom and to eat. So they actually lose body condition. So they become a bit skinnier, and they become infested with ticks because they're not able to spend so much time grooming. And so they actually become a bit weak. And so this then gives another male an opportunity to take over the said male's territory. So it's a constant back and forth of gaining and losing territory, and at the very end of the rutting season, it'll normally be the strongest males that will win the territory and win the females. So please do remember to keep those questions coming. So let's see what's happening at Ngoma. Okay, we're now at Ngoma in Tosha National Park. We've got a lovely herd of wildebeest over here. They're very agreeable, nodding their heads. Or they're listening to some rock music and doing some headbanging. But in all seriousness, they shake their heads like that to get rid of those pesky flies, which sometimes can lay eggs in their snouts, in their nose holes, their nasal passages, and so sometimes they shake their heads like that to dislodge any eggs which have been laid in their nasal passages, or just to get rid of, because it can be very itchy, to get rid of those eggs, or just to prevent those flies from landing on their faces. So LEPR says zebra are one of the most beautiful animals for me, and I agree with you. They are just wonderful, wonderful animals. And my mom is also, it's her favorite animal. They're just, they're so strange, but yet so, yeah, they're strangely attractive, like quaint animals. So
When nature calls, Maui is the only answer. Satisfy your wanderlust and take to the open road in one of our fully equipped motorhomes. Boasting a fridge, gas stovetop, AC and bathroom, our motorhomes are comfortable and spacious, making any self-drive adventure in the Kruger or garden route memorable. Whether you travel alone, as a couple or the whole family, Maui has a motorhome for you. Maui, home where you roam.
I'm Butch James, World Cup winning Springbok fly half. Rugby has taken me to many incredible places around the world, but it's Africa's wild places where I feel most at home. This July and August, after the Springbok tests against England, Wales and the All Blacks, join me on a series of luxury safaris. There we will share some rugby stories, open fires and some incredible wildlife sightings, all under the African skies. See you in the bush.
It's time to have a conversation with the animals we need to protect the most. Wild Voices is an augmented reality AI-powered app that uses technology to create a different kind of encounter, one that informs, protects, and leaves habitats untouched. Bring her into your world to learn about her own.
Hi, I'm Kanisa. What do you want to learn about now?
Awareness in the right hands can help keep her wild. Launching on World Pangolin Day for free. Keep her wild.
I get to wake up every morning and go out there and look for cats. I get to create my everyday safari for myself. I grew up in the sort of central eastern suburbs of Johannesburg, fully qualified trails guide and a fully qualified nature conservationist. I love the wild places. I love being in the wilderness. It's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had and probably ever could have.
When adventure calls, answer with Brits. Take on Southern Africa's most breathtaking landscapes from behind the wheel of a fully equipped 4x4 or SUV. From tents and bedding to a fridge and full kitchen gear, everything you need is already on board. And with 24-hour roadside assistance, you're free to go further and explore with confidence. Open roads, total freedom, no limits, just the journey ahead. Brits, equipped for adventure.
A duet, and much like your black-collared barbet, if you have an opportunity, you can listen to the black collar of the black-collared barbet. But so yes, they contact call, and so they also, if they're looking for one another, they will call one another, much like the guinea fowl which frequent our garden. They have a few chicks at the moment, and oftentimes the chicks get separated from the mother and father, and so they give these cute little contact calls, cute little chirping to tell the mother or father where they're located. So, but then of course the alarm calls. So many birds, like your fork-tailed drongos and many different birds, they have loud alarm calls to warn other animals and other birds of potential danger. So if there's a snake in the vicinity, or if there's another bird of prey, or any other threat, maybe a leopard for that matter, they give this alarm call to just warn the other animals of danger. Okay, let's see what's happening at Tembe Elephant Park in KwaZulu-Natal. Oh, beautiful. We've got, looks like an elephant bull over here in picture. Reason I say that is because of the size of the tusks and just the size of the elephant itself. And there you can also see a bit of the penis sheath hanging between the legs over there. And then, of course, the big bull elephants, they often are found alone, whereas the females, they're normally found in herds, in matriarchal herds. So I wonder what this elephant bull is up to. He's just having a nice stroll around the waterhole on the Sunday morning. It's looking very green there at the moment in northern KwaZulu-Natal. For those that don't know, KwaZulu-Natal is a province, quite a big province found on the eastern side of South Africa. And so this Tembe Elephant Park is located quite close to the east coast of South Africa. And it's found in a very wildlife-rich area in northern KwaZulu-Natal. So lots of reserves, lots of game reserves found over there, and national parks. So you've got St. Lucia, and you've got Sudwana Bay, and lots of different lovely parks to visit, national parks and that, or provincial parks. And then, of course, Tembe Elephant Park, which is a massive 30,000 hectare Big Five game reserve. So if you ever get the opportunity, you should definitely go and visit. And St. Lucia is known to have elephants which roam through the town at night time. So if you're looking to see a very out of place hippo walking through the town at night time, then you should go visit St. Lucia. And see, this particular bull is just busy giving himself a lovely mud bath, much like we tend to put on facial masks. So he's basically cooling himself off with this this mud. And so this mud, when it dries, it forms like a crusty sort of layer of dirt, and this dirt traps the insects, like the parasites, shall I say, that love to bother them, and they get into those cracks of the elephant skin, and they are normally blood-sucking parasites like ticks, and you also get some fleas which might also get into those cracks, and so once this mud dries, then those insects tend to get sort of petrified. They get solidified into this mud, and then the elephants then peel off this mud by rubbing themselves up against a rubbing post like a tree or a termite mound, and in this way they're able to get all those nasty parasites, external parasites off of them. Sandy Williams says, great channel, hi from Australia. So lovely to have you on the show, Sandy Williams. And thank you for your comment. All the way from Australia. It's just mind-blowing to me still that we have this program where we're able to broadcast live visuals from all these different locations. I think it's over 30 or maybe now even 40 different locations which Africam has set up cameras, or Africam and Wild Earth. They've joined forces and to bring us this incredible show, and we're able to broadcast this live to all these locations across the world. So just absolutely magnificent. So I wanted to talk a bit about the intelligence of elephants. I think many people are aware that elephants are very intelligent beings, and I think part of the reason why they're so intelligent is because they have these incredibly enormous brains. So their brains alone can weigh up to 5 kilograms. And so there's 257 billion neurons in their brains. So lots and lots of brain cells there. And so what's also interesting about elephants is that they never forget faces, and they mourn their dead. So you have to be quite intelligent, I imagine, to know when a loved one is gone. And they're also able to, one of the few animals that are able to recognize themselves in the mirror. So they are self-aware animals as well. And you just need to be in an elephant sighting when an elephant gets very close to you to know how self-aware they are. I've been in situations where elephant has approached me and was very curious while I was on a game drive vehicle, and then they use their trunks to sort of sniff around, and they also use it to sort of, because their eyesight is not that good, so they use their trunks to sort of to feel around and to see what's going on around them, to sort of have a visual map of their surroundings. And so, yeah, I've been very fortunate, or some might say unfortunate, to have elephants so close to me. And also where I used to live, we'd have elephants visiting the waterhole every day, and it was just awesome to see. And sometimes I'd get very close to my veranda, and so close, if I'd stuck out my hand, I was able to touch them. But obviously, I would never have done such a thing, you know, because of course they're wild animals. Okay, let's see what's happening at Naledi Lodge, seeing as our elephant bull has left the show. Got a lovely picture of a giraffe's behind, and trying to decipher whether it's a male or female. But judging by those ossicones, those horns on the head, I would say it's a female, because they're very small, and they still have tufts on top of the ossicones, which means they don't fight a lot. So those hairs are intact on top of the ossicones. So when the males fight, a lot of those hairs are lost, because through the friction of the fighting, where they throw their heads at one another to try and knock one another over or try and cause maybe a lethal blow to the ribs or any other vital organ in their body. So this Naledi Bush Lodge is located in Willifant's West, which is part of the Kruger National Park, so it's part of the Greater Kruger. And it's just lovely to see how green it is at my old stomping ground. I used to live on Belule, which is a private game reserve, which is attached to the Kruger National Park, so there's no fence between it and the Kruger National Park. And I believe that there were some horrible floods which caused a lot of infrastructural damage, and it just some roads washed away, some bridges in the Kruger washed away, and so I believe they're working hard at the moment, rebuilding all those roads and bridges that washed away. And I hope that is going swimmingly, and I hope that they can fully recover from the devastating impact which the floods had. So oftentimes you'll find that zebra and impala and some other ungulates will follow, or even monkeys and baboons might follow a giraffe, because they're so tall, they have the advantage of being able to see very far away, and so they can see imminent danger approaching. So the animals, the zebras and impalas and that, they will observe the giraffe, because the giraffe isn't able to make an alarm call that at least humans can hear, and so they just wait around to see when the giraffe stops feeding, and then the giraffe will stand still and just look in one direction, lift its head up and look in one direction, and then the other animals will know, okay, there's something approaching. And giraffe have such incredible vision and incredible hearing, so they're able to not only see a predator coming from quite a distance, but they're also able to hear something approaching. So LEPR says, for me it's absolutely fascinating to watch all my beloved animals in South Africa, which I don't have here in Germany where I'm located at. So yeah, we are very, very spoilt over here when it comes to animal sightings, and oftentimes I take for granted, or I think many South Africans also take for granted, the fact that we've got on our doorstep just almost, I want to say every every animal imaginable, but of course we've got plenty of diversity of animals. We've just got so many different plants as well on our doorstep, and I mean we've got the mountains, we've got the oceans, we've got plenty of rivers and different habitats for animals to occur. So we're just incredibly blessed over here when it comes to sightings, and it's sometimes easy to forget how lucky we are, especially if you've grown up in an environment where there's just so many different animals, and when you have Kruger National Park on your doorstep, it's we're just so blessed. And I speak to many people here in the Western Cape, and many people who grew up in Cape Town or in some of the other towns in the Western Cape. They obviously also are able to see many different animals that occur in the fynbos and the different sort of karoo areas which you find there in the Western Cape. But for me, having grown up in Gauteng, in Pretoria, we spend many of our holidays visiting the Kruger National Park and those surrounding areas, and so many of the people that I've spoken to over here in the Western Cape, they've never visited the Kruger National Park, or they've never actually seen a lion or elephant in the wild, and which I just find so unusual because I was just so lucky to have been in close proximity to possibly one of the greatest parks or game reserves in the world in terms of sightings and animal diversity and plant diversity. Also incredible bird sightings in the Kruger National Park. I'm sure there's upwards of 300 different species of birds that you can find in the Kruger. So lovely place to go and visit if you ever have the opportunity. So John Candy E8I says, I'm hooked on this channel from the UK. It's teaching me a lot for my visit to Zambia later in the year. Keep up the great work. So thank you for that comment, John Candy. I was actually thinking, I was talking about Cool Runnings, that movie about the Jamaican bobsled team, to someone the other day, and I thought of John Candy, and he's the late John Candy. So he was an actor. For those of you who don't know, he was a comedian, and he featured in this movie, Cool Runnings, where Jamaica had formed a bobsled team, and so he was the coach or the manager of the team. So if you ever get the opportunity, it's a very it's a classic film to watch. So thanks for your comment, John Candy. I just realized it's John Caddy. So your brain tends to see things that you want to see sometimes. So my apologies, John Caddy. It's not John Candy. So KG is asking, why do giraffes rarely panic even when predators are approaching? So that's a very good question. So giraffes, they're not very quick to escape danger. So they'll often try and stand their ground first. So I don't know if you've ever seen a giraffe run, but it's quite funny to watch. They look like they're running in slow motion, but when in actual fact they're running their full speed. But it's because they've got these massive, awkward bodies that they're not able to get away very quickly. And so they'll stand their ground. They can swing their necks at a predator to to obviously get rid of them, or they can they've got a lethal kick as well, which has been known to kill lions, which can crush the ribs of a predator, and so they kick with their forelegs, so they're able to face the predator and then kick, and so it has been known to kill. They have been known to kill lions with those lethal blows. So that's why they rarely panic when they do see predators approaching. And you can see their body is perfectly designed for its function. So they've got these long muzzles which are able to get into those delicious, into the thick bush and trees, and so they're able to get all those nice leaves and fruits and flowers which they're after. And they're also selective selective browsers, which means that they select which leaves and fruits and flowers which they're after. So they're not like you get some other herbivores like your bulk grazers. So your bulk grazers, they eat grass indiscriminately. They just eat as much grass as they can, and so they're not very particular about what grass they eat. So you could say the giraffe are like fussy eaters. They're very selective about what they eat. And then of course they've got those very thick eyelashes which protects their eyes when they are sticking their heads into a bush or in between some branches, and so that those thick long eyelashes will then protect their eyes from twigs and leaves and that poking their eyes. And giraffe, they love the acacia trees, which tend to have a lot of spikes or thorns on them, so that also those eyelashes will then protect their eyes against those thorns. Now there we've got another giraffe in picture with looks like an oxpecker that was hitching a ride on the giraffe. So you can see it's quite overcast over there today. So this location, Olifantswest, is very close to Hoedspruit, about a 40-minute drive from Hoedspruit. And I was checking the weather earlier for Hoedspruit, and it's 27 degrees Celsius maximum and 21 degrees Celsius minimum. And so it's mostly cloudy over there with a very high humidity. So lots of moisture in the air. So you'll be sweating a lot if you're in Hoedspruit at the moment.
When nature calls, Maui is the only answer. Satisfy your wanderlust and take to the open road in one of our fully equipped motorhomes. Boasting a fridge, gas stovetop, AC and bathroom, our motorhomes are comfortable and spacious, making any self-drive adventure in the Kruger or garden route memorable. Whether you travel alone, as a couple or the whole family, Maui has a motorhome for you. Maui, home where you roam. When adventure calls, answer with Brits. Take on Southern Africa's most breathtaking landscapes from behind the wheel of a fully equipped 4x4 or SUV. From tents and bedding to a fridge and full kitchen gear, everything you need is already on board. And with 24-hour roadside assistance, you're free to go further and explore with confidence. Open roads, total freedom, no limits, just the journey ahead. Brits, equipped for adventure.
That just sort of scrapes the surface, I'm sure, of what the elephant trunks are actually used for in terms of using it for gestures and touches, to express emotions or intentions. But also, of course, when an elephant is angry, it tries to make itself look as big as possible, so it will have its ears flared out, and it will sometimes lift its trunk as high as it can to make it look larger and more intimidating. So that'll obviously signal to a predator or any other potential threat that, I'm big, so don't mess with me. So that's another way that elephants will use their trunk. Sometimes they even, if they are annoyed with something like a human, they might pick up a stick or a rock and throw it at a human or whatever is getting too close to them. So it's kind of like a sign of annoyance. So that's also one of the ways that an elephant might use its trunk to express its discomfort or its discontent at your presence. Then also, many times you'll see if an elephant doesn't have its ears flared out and it's got its trunk up in the air, it might be using it to pick up any scent of danger, maybe a scent of a lion or a hyena. They often use their trunks to sort of pick up on any sense, and you'll see they'll stand quietly, just like using their trunks like almost like a binocular, sort of pointing it in different directions, trying to see where the danger is coming from or the scent is coming from. So let's go and check out some more elephants at Tembe Elephant Park. Okay, so we've got some Egyptian geese to the left, probably a monogamous pair, busy preening themselves to the left, and we've got a woolly-necked stork to the right that's just gone out of picture. So you can see they're busy. So these geese, these Egyptian geese, they and see how they're going. The one is like using its bill to sort of pick out the oil from the preen gland, which is located on their backs, their lower backs. So they're getting the oil from that preen gland, and they're using it to they brush that oil through their feathers, and this oil will cause them to be more buoyant in the water, and it also helps to keep themselves clean and to prevent ectoparasites like ticks and other blood-sucking parasites from getting onto their skin. You can see these woolly-necked storks are looking very inquisitive, scouting their environment like a cricket umpire, just checking whether the pitch is suitable for a game of cricket. So please do keep those questions and comments coming. Let me prompt you guys with a question. So, which animal's intelligence inspires you the most, and what lessons can we learn from it? So yeah, I'd love to find out what you think is the most impressive amongst the intelligent animals, or like which traits are the most impressive. And which you would love to, which sort of intelligence would you like to have more of? So yeah, there you can contact us, engage with us on any of those platforms listed on the screen to the left over there. So through WhatsApp, through X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So there, take your pick. It's quite funny watching these geese really thoroughly cleaning themselves. Definitely one of the biggest attitudes which you find in the bush, the Egyptian geese. They're definitely a larger than life sort of bird. Very loud and obnoxious birds. So these Egyptian geese, they're actually not, strictly speaking, geese, although their name would suggest otherwise, but they're actually a duck, and they're closely related to the shell ducks. So which is like kind of like an in-betweeny sort of so it's something between a duck and a goose. And so they were once considered sacred by ancient Egyptians and appear in much of their artwork. So we tend to forget, even though they're quite loud and can be quite annoying sometimes, that they are quite significant and important animals in the bush. So MacAllen Shanae is asking, do male and female giraffes have different colors of patches to tell the difference between them? So that's a very good question, and so generally they have the same patterns, the same spots and patches, and so oftentimes, well, I've heard some people say that the males have darker patches, and I've seen that before. The much older males will they've got these dark patches, and so I wouldn't say that it's a different color, maybe just a darker shade of patch. So I wouldn't just look at the patches to tell the difference between the male and the female, because technically they are the same color, but maybe just different shades. But yeah, I've seen, I don't know whether it's got to do with genetics or whether it's got to do with old age or distinguishing between a male and a female, but I definitely have seen the older giraffe males, they tend to have much darker spots. But yeah, I wouldn't rely on that solely to differentiate between the two. Watching these ducks, or these geese just flap around. It's very entertaining. So it's also quite fascinating about these Egyptian geese, so that they're able to survive in many different biomes, many different habitats, with the exception of very arid environments. So deserts and jungles or forests, very dense forests. So they're just very resilient birds, these Egyptian geese. And of course they're monogamous, so they only have one mate for life. And you can actually distinguish between a male and a female by the sounds that they make. The male has a more raspy call, and the female has a louder sort of shrilly sort of call. And also, you're able to tell the two apart by the male being slightly larger, and it has slightly brighter colors than the female. And so you can easily tell that it's an Egyptian goose by looking at that red patch around the eye, or that reddish brown eye patch, and it's got the bright pink legs and feet and the white discoloration around the head and the neck. And they've got a greyish belly. They've got that sort of beautiful green, shiny colour on their sort of the tip of their wings. I've got a question here from New Dawn asking, are Egyptian goose seasonal migrating birds? So Egyptian goose, at least in South Africa, they are more sedentary. They stick to one area. They don't migrate, so they're non-migratory. And so they tend to they tend to stay. That was a bit of a tongue twister there. Tend to stay in the sort of same general area throughout the year, and sometimes they might make a short sort of shifts in environments. So they might shift to somewhere with a bit more water, but generally they stay in the same environment as long as there's a all year round water source there. So if there's groundwater, then they're happy. Okay, let's see what's happening at Naledi Bush Lodge there in the Greater Kruger. Okay, we've got our giraffes in picture again. You can see if you look at this giraffe on the right hand side that it's got a sort of whitish coloration behind the ears, and this is used as a sort of visual communication. So it's what we refer to as a follow me sign. So oftentimes the giraffe will follow each other. They're able to see that that white coloration in the bush, and they know to follow that particular sign. So if there's any danger, then they just follow those two white spots, and then they know that that they're good and that they are going in the right direction. So waterbuck also have that follow me sign. They've got that white ring on their rump, on their bottom. So in Afrikaans we call it a kringgat, which means like a circle bottom basically. And so impala also have it. They've got that characteristic M on their bottoms. So that's what we refer to as a follow me sign. So you'll see that with a lot of different animals in the... Oh, there's a... To the right, it looks like there's a rhino. But yeah, my eyes could be deceiving me. I think my eyes were just deceiving me there. So many of the different animals in the bush, we see these follow me signs. Even with lions, we've got those the black behind the ears, which they also use when they're hunting to coordinate their hunts. So they've got those black markings behind the ears so that they can follow one another when they're traveling through particularly thick bush. So yeah, have a look out for those markings behind the ears or on the rump the next time you're in the bush. Okay, let's see what's happening at Tembe Elephant Park. Now, what do we have over here? There's some warthog in picture, it seems. Swinging their tails quite a lot to just get rid of the flies in the vicinity. Also very intelligent creatures, the warthogs are. One thing that I can, off the top of my head, that I can think of is that when they are fleeing danger, they flee to the closest burrow, which they make their homes in these old abandoned aardvark dens, and so which is typically a termite mound which has been hollowed out, and so these warthog will then make their homes there. And what they do is when they're fleeing from danger, they tend to, when they're going into the burrow, they will reverse in. So they'll reverse park in, and the reason for that being that if a leopard or something was to be curious and stick its head into the burrow, then the warthog can attack that said leopard or other predator with their very mean tusks, which you can see is located on the side of their mouths. And in the males, they can be very, very long and sharp, and and of course they're very quick as well, so, and quite meaty, so they can if they charge at you with speed and with those tusks and with a very solid forehead, then you can imagine it would cause quite some damage. So they're very intelligent, using that strategy to protect themselves against predators. So it's also quite funny to see how when the warthog are feeding, they bend their forelegs, and that they can get their mouths as close to the grass as possible, so that they can get nice juicy chunks of grass, because they don't have very long necks, so like a giraffe does. So they've got almost no necks, so they have to bend their knees and go into a almost like a praying position, so that they can reach the grasses, the tasty grasses. So Carolina says, we see a lot of Egyptian geese in Richards Bay, KwaZulu-Natal. They are beautiful. So they are very beautiful birds. I know a lot of people. I know my mother-in-law's sister. She is not a huge fan of Egyptian geese, and yeah, just because they can be very loud, and they're sort of, the sounds they make are very loud to your ears, and they're sort of non-stop. They just continue. So when you're at a peaceful dam or waterhole, and there's some Egyptian geese there. It can almost sometimes disturb the otherwise peaceful setting. But of course, to each their own. And I also think they're very beautiful birds in the right setting and when I'm in the right mood. So another interesting thing about the Egyptian goose is that they're monotypic or monotypic. So this basically means that there's no other species or subspecies within its genus. So they're the only species of this particular sort of bird, which is closely related to the shell ducks. And they're also known to be quite aggressive, especially when they're nesting. So they defend their territories strongly and even chasing away these large animals. So it's actually quite funny to see how they could chase away a warthog or something much bigger than itself to keep it away from its nest.
When nature calls, Maui is the only answer. Satisfy your wanderlust and take to the open road in one of our fully equipped motorhomes. Boasting a fridge, gas stovetop, AC and bathroom, our motorhomes are comfortable and spacious, making any self-drive adventure in the Kruger or garden route memorable. Whether you travel alone, as a couple or the whole family, Maui has a motorhome for you. Maui, home where you roam.
Hello, I'm James Hendry, and I'd like to take you on a very different kind of safari through the wild heart of Madagascar. In Undersea, we'll track the Indri's eerie call through misty rainforest. Then it's east on to Masuala, where lemurs leap through the jungle, coral reefs glow beneath the waves, and adventure waits around every bend. Come, let's explore it together.
Oh, even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Oh! Whoa! This is action-packed.
When adventure calls, answer with Brits. Take on Southern Africa's most breathtaking landscapes from behind the wheel of a fully equipped 4x4 or SUV. From tents and bedding to a fridge and full kitchen gear, everything you need is already on board. And with 24-hour roadside assistance, you're free to go further and explore with confidence. Open roads, total freedom, no limits, just the journey ahead. Brits, equipped for adventure.
The moment, I know it used to be a very popular tourist destination, but currently they're having major problems with the pollution over there. Lots of nutrients get get drained into the water, or it gets leached into the dam. And so this excess nutrients, or these excess nutrients, which you normally find in sewage and in fertilizers and that, so all this excess nitrogen and phosphorus, that ends up causing sort of an algal bloom, or it causes a lot of these water plants to dominate, which thrive off of these excess phosphorus and nitrogen fertilizers and sewage and that. And so they just sort of take over, so they form like a layer over the water, over the surface of the water, and then it just makes, they basically end up suffocating all the aquatic life, because they basically take all the oxygen from the water. So they, especially when the plants decompose, all these water hyacinth, they decompose. It requires bacteria to decompose, and so this process of the bacteria decomposing these water plants requires a lots of oxygen. So then it starves the other animals, other fish and that, of oxygen, and then you end up getting a situation where a lot of the fish end up floating dead to the surface, and then you have thousands of fish that end up dying, and it's obviously not an ideal situation. And so yes, to answer your question, Tinus, yeah, the animals do eat the water plants, but in the case of the water hyacinth in Hartebeespoort Dam, that plant doesn't have any particular local predators, but because it's an exotic or alien plant, and so there's no natural predators, nothing which naturally kills it, or no natural diseases or anything in South Africa. So what many naturalists are currently doing, or natural scientists, they use this strategy called biocontrol, or biological control. So they bring in the predator of that particular aquatic plant, so the water hyacinth. It's got this beetle which basically is a parasite to the plant. It I think it eats the seeds, and it also just destroys the plant. And so they're releasing those beetles into those environments where the water hyacinth have taken over, and so this biological control can be very effective, but it can be very dangerous, potentially dangerous, because if that organism, that insect or whatever it is that you've released into the environment, ends up destroying other plants, or outcompeting other local animals, then it just becomes a huge headache for conservationists and that are trying to rather desperately to protect what natural environment is left of our planet. So yes, I hope that answers your question, Tinus. Okay, let's see what's happening at Naledi Lodge. Looks like we've got a zebra in question, or a zebra. So you can also see it's got those characteristic markings on the back of the ears, the white with a couple of black dots. So that would also be used as a follow me sign. It's looking very peaceful over there at Naledi Bush Lodge at the moment. And you can see this is a plain zebra. If you look at the stripes on the rump, you'll see that there's some sort of faded stripes, you could call it, or some grayish, sort of more faint black stripes in between those thick black dark stripes, and those we call shadow stripes, and those you only find in your plains zebra. So that's one way of telling that it's a plain zebra. So New Dawn is asking, why do warthogs enter their burrows in reverse? And so I was explaining it earlier, but basically it's so that because they're more vulnerable when if they enter with head first, so then a predator can snatch them up from their rumps, their bottoms, where they don't have anything to protect them. So if they enter the burrow in reverse, then at least they have their tusks and their strong foreheads to protect them against the predators. So they can just charge out with their tusks and their strong foreheads and sort of headbutt the predator out of the burrow. So their rumps are a bit more soft and cushy, and so it would be a lot easier for a predator to just bite them there and without any issues. So please do keep those comments and questions coming. So I'd like to prompt you with another question. So which animal skill do you wish you had? If you could have any animal skill, which one would you like to have? So what's also quite interesting about the balance of a waterhole when it comes to this process that I was talking about earlier, we referred to it as eutrophication. This when very nutrient-rich water gets into a waterhole and it causes an algal bloom. So it causes this cyanobacteria and or green-blue algae to take over. So they cause this like layer of that we sometimes see that forms on the surface of waterholes and of dams. And very seldom will you see it on rivers, because rivers are constantly, or at least most rivers are constantly flowing. So this, so as I was mentioning, a lot of these waterholes, they're in a very fine balance. So you also get these algae which are called diatoms, which is a type of algae which comes in lots of different shapes. Very interesting to look at under a microscope. But so these diatoms, they compete with the your cyanobacteria or your blue-green algae. And so these two algae are competing. And so what hippos, they play a very important role in these waterholes because they often defecate, they often poo and in the water. And so their dung often contains a lot of silica, a lot of silicone, which they get from the grasses that they eat. And so the diatoms are very dependent on this silica, so to make their cell walls, to make their to basically reinforce their structure. And so it's very important that you have hippos in these waterholes to make sure that that algal bloom doesn't happen, that the algae, the green algae doesn't sort of form that layer and deprive the waterhole of oxygen. Okay, let's see what's happening at Tembe Elephant Park. Okay, we've got some beautiful nyala in picture over here. So the female to the right, that reddish brown with the white stripes, is the female. And then you've got the male to the left, which is very unusual that the male and the female look so very different, almost like two different species. And this is what we refer to in biological terms as sexual dimorphism. So where you have two different body types or two different colors of your male and your female of a particular species. So it's quite interesting to see, and perhaps it's an evolutionary sort of strategy. Maybe the males have developed a fancier coat so that they can attract females better. But also the males, they have horns where the females don't. And so it's normally the males which they are the ones that fight for territory. And oftentimes you'll find nyala very close to a waterhole of some sort or a river, because they're very water dependent. They're very dependent on the vegetation that occurs close to these waterholes and to the rivers. And they're also not very fast antelope, so they're not able to escape danger very quickly. So they rely a lot more on their stealth and their camouflage. So that's why you'll see they move very slowly and with a lot of intention. And also they have this strategy of walking, which we call registering. So they register, so they put their back foot on top of their front footprint. And so this is probably some sort of evolutionary strategy to produce less noise when they're walking through the bush. Maybe if there's lots of dry leaves on the ground, they're just walking on their own tracks, so they're not making as much noise. So it looks almost like that male was using his horns to dig into the ground, and maybe that's they've got some scent glands on their face, and so they sometimes rub those glands up against trees or leaves and the ground so that their scent stays in that area as a advertisement to other nyala in the area, just a sort of warning. So please do keep those questions and comments coming. This is a live and interactive show, so if you do want questions answered, or if you just want to give a shout out to someone, or if you just like to say something interesting, please do comment or send your question through to us. You can't see it very clearly now, but the male nyala also have this reddish brown color close to their feet. It's almost like they're wearing socks, and these long socks. And so when the males are younger, they look the same as the females. They've got that reddish brown coloration, but as they get older, they develop this sort of dark gray coat, and maybe this, as I mentioned, is some sort of strategy to attract the females. But again, we can only come up with different theories as to why these animals have developed different all these different strategies in that. So we will never truly know, but that's also very exciting in itself, that we never know everything, and that there's so much left to learn and discover. I got a nice warthog male in picture over there. You can see scrotum just below his tail there. Doesn't look like he has very large horns. And so those horns are also actually just modified teeth. So they're modified incisor teeth. So just like we have incisor teeth in our jaws, they also have incisors, but theirs are just modified for protection and for digging. So if you listen there in the background, you'll hear a bird calling, which I love to hear, which is a purple-crested taraku. I'm not going to make a fool of myself trying to mimic the sound or the call of the taraku, but for me it's a very special sound. It's almost it sounds almost like prehistoric, but yeah, there you can hear it. There I went back on my word and made a fool of myself. But yes, that is a purple-crested taraku, and you often find them in these sort of riverine habitats, areas along rivers, and so they like the very thick bush which you find. Oh, there we go, there's that taraku again. Almost sounds like a frog calling, but a frog or a toad. You see these warthogs are alert to something now. Something has got their attention now. They always, when an animal hears something, which might be a threat, they stop whatever they're doing, stop drinking or stop eating, so that they can focus their attention, their hearing to hear what it might be. So obviously in this case, when an animal starts eating again, then you know it's relaxed. An animal will only eat and drink when the coast is clear and when they feel relaxed. So we've got a comment here from Kulani saying, "Thank you so much for such wonderful guiding. I've recently fell in love with this show. It's a game drive in my living room." So it's such a pleasure, Kulani, and I'm so glad you're enjoying the show and that the game drive can be broadcast to your living room. Yeah, it's so wonderful for me. Also just hearing all the sounds of the bush and just viewing these incredible creatures in their natural environment. That's definitely something very special. And then you've got woolly-necked stork in the background, just walking past those bushes in the background. So something that I find quite fascinating is that you find this turaku, this Neisner luri or Neisner turaku in Limpopo. You know, you find it in the forested areas or the natural indigenous forest that you find there, sort of close to or at Mariepskorp. So like close to the peak of Mariepskorp. So Mariepskorp is part of the Drakensberg range, and it's the highest point basically of that Hoedspruit Lowveld region. And so back in the day it was used as a military base. So they would send out, or they would intercept signals from Mozambique with these large radars and satellites located at Mariepskorp. But so you can still drive to the top of Mariepskorp, and you can there's a nice picnic spot and a campsite over there, and there's even chalets which you can book. And but anyways, there's beautiful indigenous forest over there. And you also find the Neisner turaku there. So it's obviously found in Neisner, which is located on the coast of South Africa, which is I think it's in the Eastern Cape, Neisner. And so it's restricted to the indigenous forest down there in Neisner, and then also to this forest close to or at Mariepskorp. So my wife and I, the one time, heard this luri or turaku calling, and initially we thought it was just a purple crested turaku, and it turned out to be a Neisner turaku. So it was an incredible sighting. If you have the opportunity to Google it, you should Google a Neisner turaku. They're absolutely beautiful birds, and I just find it fascinating that they're found only in those two locations and so far away from one another. Like they're separated by huge distances. So it's something that I just find very interesting. So to go back to what I was saying about the diatoms, or that particular algae which you call it brown algae, and then you get the blue-green algae. So those two are always competing with one another for space in the waterholes and that. And so the hippos, they contribute, or they add value to these waterholes by making sure that there's enough diatoms in the river, so enough of that brown algae, which and the way that the hippos do that is by defecating in the water, so that as I was mentioning, the silica or the that element which you find in grasses is what is required by these brown algae. And so yes, those two need to be in balance, the brown-green algae, the green-blue algae and the brown algae, to ensure that you have a healthy ecosystem and a balanced waterhole. So this Tembe Elephant Park, a very interesting reserve. So as I mentioned, it's located in northern KwaZulu-Natal, and it's sort of nestled between Mozambique and Eswatini. And so it was established in 1983, and so it's about a 30,000 hectare game reserve, and it has all of the big five. And so it's basically co-managed by the Izimvelo wildlife and also the local Tembe tribal authority. So this park is also one of South Africa's first community-owned reserves. So basically the people in the community, they call the shots in terms of management, or sometimes they outsource the management to some company or some people, and so the community then benefits from the resources found on the reserve, and also they benefit from the profits gained on the reserve. And I think it's a very important thing, because in South Africa there's been a lot of injustices in the past, and many people have been removed from their lands, and so it's important that these imbalances are made balanced again, and people can benefit from the land which they initially inhabited. So there's quite a few different parks and reserves that work on the same sort of strategy, and it's actually quite sad in many places in our country, in South Africa. There's people who live right next to a game reserve, or live literally on the boundary of a game reserve, who've never seen a lion or an elephant, which is found within the boundaries of the reserve. So yeah, it's one of those things that a lot of game reserves and parks, national parks, are working tirelessly to achieve a balance, and then to achieve to balance those injustices of the past, right the wrongs of the past. So I was also reading that so this particular national or this particular park is the region. So this region where it's located, it's the region's largest private employer. So the benefits are channeled into local development, and which include education and training, which is definitely the way forward. You can't have in our day and age so many people that can't benefit from their natural environment and an environment which they historically inhabited before they were forcefully removed from these areas by previous regimes. So the park is also located 3.5 hour drive from Durban, and there's 340 plus bird species, which include the Rudd's apellis and the plain-backed sunbird and swamp nightjars.
When nature calls, Maui is the only answer. Satisfy your wanderlust and take to the open road in one of our fully equipped motorhomes. Boasting a fridge, gas stovetop, AC and bathroom, our motorhomes are comfortable and spacious, making any self-drive adventure in the Kruger or garden route memorable. Whether you travel alone, as a couple or the whole family, Maui has a motorhome for you. Maui, home where you roam.
Step into the exciting world of the original science. Next September, Master Tracker Rennis Mhlongo and Wild Earth Steve Falconbridge lead a spectacular safari through the Kruger, where you'll learn to identify tracks and then trail iconic big game on foot. Days are spent immersed in the field, evenings around the fire sharing stories, from the hair-raising to the hilarious. This is the ultimate wild immersion for the nature connoisseur.
It's time to have a conversation with the animals we need to protect the most. Wild Voices is an augmented reality AI-powered app that uses technology to create a different kind of encounter, one that informs, protects, and leaves habitats untouched. Bring her into your world to learn about her own.
Hi, I'm Kanisa. What do you want to learn about now?
Awareness in the right hands can help keep her wild. Launching on World Pangolin Day for free. Keep her wild.
When adventure calls, answer with Brits. Take on Southern Africa's most breathtaking landscapes from behind the wheel of a fully equipped 4x4 or SUV. From tents and bedding to a fridge and full kitchen gear, everything you need is already on board. And with 24-hour roadside assistance, you're free to go further and explore with confidence. Open roads, total freedom, no limits, just the journey ahead. Brits, equipped for adventure.
So LEPR says, thank you so much Wild Earth team for this amazing Live at the Waterholes show today. And also thanks a lot to Johan for sharing your great knowledge with us. It's much appreciated. I very much appreciate the comment there, Ellie. I don't often believe that I have that much knowledge, but I guess it's all relative. And as I was mentioning, you... the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So thank you for your comment. Yeah, it's much appreciated, and thank you so much for tuning in and for your comments and your questions. definitely does help a lot when people interact and engage on the show. It just makes everything go a lot smoother, and it's just nice to have your involvement. Then I realize that I'm not just talking into a microphone and a screen. So much appreciated. Okay, I think let's wrap up. It's almost time to go. I just want to thank you all for joining us today on Live at the Waterhole. Thank you, Africam and Wild Earth, for bringing this lovely show to our screens. And I bid you all a very happy and peaceful and wonderful Sunday. Rest of your Sunday, wherever you may be. So let's leave this warthog in peace. Oh, sorry, warthog. Have a lovely Sunday.